In 2021, we recognize the dedication from a Columbus nonprofit to advance the conversation surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion. An award-winning architecture firm that strives to build a better tomorrow. A healthcare company reaching new benchmarks for a diverse staff. And a children's hospital dedicated to fighting COVID-19 and ending the stigma surrounding mental health. This is Columbus CEO's CEO of the Year Awards 2021. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Virtual CEO of the Year Awards. I'm Ray Paprocki, publisher of Dispatch Magazines, which of course includes Columbus CEO. Thank you for joining us. We have a number of leaders to honor this year, and it's interesting to read about their different paths to their leadership roles. And their leadership is even more important during these uncertain and challenging times. Since we are here to celebrate their achievements, their evolution of leadership, and the impacts they've had in our community. Before we begin, a few additional words of thanks. First, I'd like to acknowledge the Columbus CEO staff who worked hard producing the CEO of the Year package and virtual gathering. We are pleased to have the production talent of Mills James as sponsor this year to create this engaging program. You'll be meeting a representative of Mills James later in the program. Next, we'd like to thank another one of our sponsors, Nationwide Children's Hospital. And finally, thank you to Regionomics as our partner in the 2021 Central Ohio CEO Survey, the aim of which is to provide a portrait of where the local business climate stands as we head into 2022. Together, we surveyed more than 4,000 organizational leaders to take the pulse of the Central Ohio business community. For the survey, which was conducted this fall, C-level leaders were asked their opinions about the current economic outlook in Central Ohio in light of the pandemic, as well as perceptions of the area as a place to do business. An in-depth look at the survey results is available in the December issue of Columbus CEO. Now we have the opportunity to learn a little more about the findings with our CEO of the Year leadership panel. I'm turning things over to Columbus-based economist Bill LaFayette, owner of Regionomics and the moderator of the leadership panel, which consists of CEO of the Year finalists in 2021. Let's get started. Bill, the screen is yours.
Thanks a lot, Ray. I'm thrilled to collaborate with Columbus CEO on the annual survey for a third year. I'm really excited about our panel, stellar panel. We have Bo Chilton, who's Chief Executive Officer of Impact Community Action, Dr. Steve Markovich, who's President and CEO of OHIOHEALTH, and we have JOANNA Pinkerton, who's President and CEO of the Central Ohio Transit Authority. Let me start with a really quick summary of the results. I want to be brief to leave time for our panel. Not surprisingly, the key theme of this year's survey is labor availability. This the top concern of 41% of the business leaders responding to the survey. Another 6% cited labor attrition and turnover as their top concern. My own numbers show the region's workforce up 46,500 from its trough in April 2020, but still off 27,000 from that February, just before the pandemic hit. There's a larger disparity between opinions of economic prospects for the Central Ohio region and the U.S. than we've seen in past years. Only a third of the respondents are looking for improvement in the U.S. economy in 2022, but more than half are expecting continued improvement in our Central Ohio economy. A half are expecting growth in their own revenue of at least 5%. Pandemic-driven organizational change over the past year is another theme. 80% of organizations have undergone at least moderate change since the pandemic began last year. In at least some cases, those changes have included the adoption of new technologies and expansion to new markets. This is setting up these organizations for long-term growth, expansion, and success. In other words, you should never let a good crisis go to waste. A third theme of this year's survey is the growing focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Around 60% of organizations have a dedicated DEI budget, and a third of that 60% established that budget within the last year. Almost all the organizations with an existing budget either maintained it or increased it. So now let me broaden the discussion by bringing in Joanna, Steve, and Bo. Welcome. Let me start off with a question about workforce. The message of workforce shortages came through loud and clear in this year's survey. We've all seen the headlines talking about open positions and now the Great Resignation. So what has been your experience recently with finding good people and keeping them? Steve, I'll start with you.
It's been a challenge. What we're seeing nationally continues to apply to healthcare. If you look at healthcare on a national basis, 60% of hospitals have either high or extreme labor issues. So it is a real problem, and Central Ohio is not excluded from that. We're fortunate at the moment that our hiring is exceeding our losses, but that churn is expensive. It takes time, and our talent acquisition teams are very, very busy trying to recruit. Nursing and the clinical specialties are really, really important to us. Some of the things that are happening nationally, 30,000 more traveling nurse jobs were created coming out of the pandemic that were here before. So folks could vote with their feet, and there were salaries that $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a week for a nurse that's willing to travel, especially to some of the more underserved areas. So it's a challenge. We hope that we're going to come out of this in a better place based on our organizational culture and things that we are trying to implement.
Thanks. And Joanna?
Thanks for the question, Bill. Like all companies, CODA is experiencing really a higher than usual attrition rate as well. This has especially impacted our frontline employees, so operators and people who work directly with all members of the public. That's where we see the turnover and the attrition the most, as you can imagine, because of that constant interface and a different level of stress that comes with frontline service. Really can reinforce what Steve said about people voting with their feet. Heavily skilled trades, CDL, these are skill sets that we're competing for not just locally, but also at a national level. Very similar to the growth that the Central Ohio region is experiencing, we're finding that people are very mobile and willing to move based on signing bonuses, wage rates, cost of living across the nation. Now, I'm glad to say that we are getting a great pool of candidates. The challenge, and again, to reinforce what Steve said, it takes time to build a certain skill set within your workforce. When you think about where we're having the impact the most on the front line, I don't think people necessarily understand, like an operator is operating a $500,000 computer on wheels, and they are responsible for lives. And so the safety components, the customer service, and a really wide array of skill sets takes time to build. So even people who previously hadn't thought of the mobility industry as a place for employment, they are coming to us, but we're starting with a skill set that has to be completely built from scratch.
How about you, Bo?
Yeah, it's been a challenge. Along with my colleagues on this panel, we've been designated as essential services and never closed our doors. We remained open initially with a hybrid model and then back completely in July of 2020 to present. So for our staff on the front lines at eviction court, we received substantial funding from the federal government. Our budget went from $10 million in 2019 to $60 million this year. And for the people on the front lines at eviction court, it's been grueling. We've experienced a lot of turnover. A third of our staff on the front lines actually contracted COVID. And this was for the safety and security of vaccinations. We had people who divulged to us that they were positive, but they were in a sense of desperation. And so we had to ask our staff to put their own their own health at risk to serve the community. And they did so, but it came at a cost. So we have had a lot of turnover. We've tried to raise our wages. We've provided more positive mental health activities. We've included pep rallies, trying to celebrate our wins, but it has been tough. So we do currently have about 20% vacancies on our staff. We have about 190 employees and almost 40 vacancies. So we continue to try and do what we can to attract good talent. We've had to rely on a lot of temporary staff during this process as well. So the pandemic has proven to present greater challenges for us.
All three of you provide services that are absolutely crucial, essential, life-saving. And I can't give enough kudos to the frontline workers who are delivering those services every day. My second question is more along the lines of quality of life. There's been an increasing emphasis by workers on the quality of their work life, and economists have pointed to that as certainly a major reason for the great resignation that we're seeing now. Do you see this as a larger concern in your own workforce than it has been in the past? And if so, have you implemented any sort of changes or adaptations to address that? Joanna?
That's a great question, Bill. And I'm reflecting on the fact that we were beginning to address this prior to the pandemic. I think in general, with the new gig economy and such a booming economy here in Central Ohio, people were reevaluating their quality of life. Again, on frontline employees and services, you don't always get to work from home. That isn't an option. We struggle, like many industries, with a lack of female representation, with women taking on so much of the unpaid labor outside of the workplace. Our industry is only typically about 15% female nationwide. I'm glad to say that here in Central Ohio, we're at almost a third female representation within our organization. But you can't just say you get the afternoon off to deal with what's going on in the community, because people do have to be frontline service at all times. And so what that has caused us to do is look at our employment practices, creating new shifts that allow people to work different shifts, not the standard 8 to 5 that doesn't work for most families anymore. We've got employees that commute from 3 different states, 83 cities, and 106 different zip codes. And each of them is dealing with a school district that has a different rule, lack of childcare. So we have implemented things like childcare assistance programs where we help pay for childcare in emergency situations. We've changed all of our scheduling and bidding processes to online, so that you can pick a schedule maybe that fits your family situation a little better. But that is a work in progress, and it's certainly, the pandemic accelerated that. But that is something we were looking at very heavily even prior to the pandemic in order to attract a talented workforce.
How about you, Bo?
Yeah, the way in which the pandemic has unfolded, both from a health disparity standpoint and from an economic standpoint, it completely disrupted the perception of the security of our labor force and having a job. Also coupled with the erosion of civility in our society, and I think the isolation that people have felt, the mental health challenges that we've seen increases in alcohol and drug use, domestic violence. All of these things have contributed to people reevaluating what they want out of their life and workforce in particular, their career. And so it has caused some people to step back and say, you know what, let me take a step back, reevaluate, and perhaps get some retraining. That's one of the things that we've been focused on to help people get to that higher wage job. So many of the people that we work with were stuck in part-time jobs, working 2 and 3 part-time jobs. They could never get ahead. And so this opportunity, with all of the assistance and the training available, gave them a chance to step back and say, let me get the training necessary to get the credential, to get the career and the family sustaining wage. So we have seen the evidence of people kind of stepping back and reevaluating. And yes, low wage workers want the same thing that we all want. Better working conditions, greater flexibility, and the opportunity to spend more time with their family. That's something that has come out of all of this. Is it has confined us. We've spent more time with family, and now they want something different. I'm reminded of a gentleman who was in one of our training programs, and he said his whole career he's been in custodial services, and he wants to do something different. And so he signed up for our Roads to Work training CDL program, and hopefully we'll be sending him Joanne's way.
Let's hope. Steve, how about you?
Well, I think a recent study I read from McKinsey said 40% of the workforce is considering leaving in the next 6 months. And the classic management thought is that it's a comp issue. And while compensation may be the cost of admission, associates are looking for different kinds of things. They're looking for, of course, benefits, but they're looking for flexibility. I think coming out of COVID, when so many people were at home, they're looking for a new sense of belonging, and they want to understand how they bring value to an organization. At the same time, they want to be personally engaged with the organization, and they want to have a deeper understanding with their manager. So it's not just a comp and benefits game anymore. It really is, how do they engage with the institution? What are the values of the institution? And the people that they will work with, whether it's digitally or face-to-face, how are they going to engage with those teams? And this is a new skill our managers have to learn, is to really, and how do you engage with this new workforce and this new thought pattern? It's going to be a big challenge for people. We're effectively going to have to retrain middle management in many ways to learn how to grapple with this. Job sharing, flexibility. I love the idea, Joanna, of online scheduling, things like that. People need, as my partners on the panel have said, we've got to work around childcare needs. We've got to work around spouses and their schedules. So it's a completely different mindset, while at the same time recognizing that for many of us, we don't shut our doors. I'm in healthcare, and I don't get the privilege of closing the ER if I don't have enough staff. So, and same for my partners. So those are things that we as leaders are going to have to take on, and I think be fairly aggressive about.
It's got to be it's got to matter. Things other than money have to matter. Right. Because if they didn't, then we would have seen a big increase in the labor force when the supplemental benefits ran out, and we have not. Possibly the most interesting question is this: what is your greatest hope for 2022? I'll start with you, Bo.
My greatest hope is that we continue in the spirit that I saw when this pandemic first hit, that we are all in it together. Now more than ever, we need to stay committed to that ideal.
Steve?
I hope the rhetoric around the divide between personal choice and public health quiets down so that we can all focus on getting back to whatever the new normal is going to be.
And Joanna?
Boy, those are two hard ones to top. I want to say ditto. I do think my hope would be for people to take the time for self-care and self-reflection, because this really is a time we need to move into acceptance and be open-minded, because we need a lot of creative solutions to make sure that we do better than we were before. I don't want it to be normal. I want it to be a new better.
Well, I couldn't have said it any better myself, so I'm not even going to try. I just want to thank you all for participating. I think this has been a fascinating panel. And certainly to all of you watching, the happiest of holidays. Thank you very much.
A pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Bill, and a special thanks to our three panelists. Now, transitioning into the awards presentation, I'd like to welcome the editor of Columbus CEO, KATY Smith.
Thank you, Ray. I'm happy to be here. All the winners and finalists you're going to meet are making a difference in their respective fields. They give back to the communities that have given so much to them. But most of all, each one of our honorees leads by example. They display, day after day, what it takes to make an organization great. The CEO of the Year Award is special because it's peer-selected. Business owners, CEOs, executive directors, managing partners, and other chief executives with various titles voted for CEO of the Year in 4 categories: large business, large nonprofit, small business, and small nonprofit. We gathered names for the ballot from local chambers of commerce, business organizations, and our own editorial judgment. From there, 12 finalists and 4 winners were selected by respondents of the 2021 Columbus CEO Survey. The stories you'll find in the December issue of the magazine speak to one of our editorial missions at CEO, which is to recognize pillars of leadership in our business community. This group represents the best the Columbus region has to offer. I thank all of you for setting the bar high. Now let's meet our CEOs of the Year. To introduce our first category of awards, please welcome President of Mills James, Arthur James.
Thank you, Katie. Our first category is for CEO of the Year of a small Central Ohio nonprofit organization. Here are our 3 finalists. Colin McGinnis, Southside Early Learning. Colin Page McGinnis serves as the CEO of Southside Early Learning, an organization that has been dedicated to serving children and families on the south side of Columbus for nearly 100 years. Named one of Columbus' 19 nonprofit innovators and a member of Columbus CEO's inaugural class of Future 50, McGinnis is reimagining how early childhood can be used as a key component of community development. McGinnis earned his bachelor's degree in human development and family sciences from Ohio State University, master's degree in educational psychology at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and is obtaining his PhD from OSU. Congratulations, Colin. Michael Corey, Human Service Chamber of Franklin County. Corey is the Executive Director of the Human Service Chamber of Franklin County. Since arriving at HSC in 2017, membership has grown from 48 to nearly 130 nonprofits. The Chamber strives to provide one voice on behalf of over 14,000 employees and hundreds of thousands of people served in our community. Corey holds a Bachelor's of Arts from Duke University, a Master's in Education Policy from Ohio State University, and a law degree from Ohio State's Moritz College of Law. After practicing healthcare law at Bricker and Eckler for 3 years, Corey worked as a policy analyst at the Children's Defense Fund Ohio. He has spent the pandemic advocating for funding of nonprofits and making sure they have the PPE they need. Congratulations, Michael. OYAUMA Garrison, a kid again. Garrison serves as the President and Chief Executive Officer for A Kid Again, a nonprofit organization that provides ongoing adventures for kids facing life-threatening conditions. Garrison is a former insurance company executive of over 20 years. He has worked at State Farm, Nationwide, Allstate, and Jacobson, and serves as a director on the board of Buckeye Insurance. Garrison has been recognized for his civic contributions by the Ohio General Assembly and Columbus City Council. He is also the recipient of an honorary doctorate degree from Franklin University and the United States of America Presidential 2014 Gold Standard Award. Garrison holds a bachelor's degree from Denison University and an MBA from Franklin University. Congratulations, OYAUMA. And the CEO of the Year winner in the small nonprofit category, which is for organizations with less than $4 million in annual revenue, is Elizabeth Martinez. As CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Ohio since 2016, Martinez is dedicated to building relationships that bring people and communities closer together. The core work of Big Brothers Big Sisters is centered around one-to-one mentoring programs. The agency offers leadership development programs at its camp in the Hocking Hills, and it builds capacity for other mentoring organizations through Mentor Central Ohio. During the pandemic, Elizabeth worked to harness the power of partnership and community. She focused on activating the supportive ecosystem youth need to build positive relationships and hone essential skills for life-changing outcomes. As a firm believer that our words inform our world, Martinez strives to influence the narrative around the issues communities are facing. Martinez serves on the board of directors for Franklin County Children's Services and the Human Service Chamber. She is a registered corporate coach with the Worldwide Association of Business Coaches. Please help me congratulate Elizabeth Martinez. Congratulations, Elizabeth.
Thank you to everyone who played a role in my selection of this amazing honor. Any one of you are as deserving of this recognition. You're all doing amazing work in our community. Congratulations to all the honorees and finalists being recognized. I'm truly humbled by this recognition. I'd like to use this opportunity to highlight the amazing team that I have the privilege of leading and working with every day at Big Brothers Big Sisters. To our board of directors, our community partners, our stakeholders and friends of the organization, thank you for your commitment to this amazing work. To the families, children, volunteers, thank you for trusting us to partner with you. And lastly, a great big thanks to my families and friends for your love and support.
On to our next CEO of the Year category, Large Nonprofit. We have 4 finalists. First, I'd like to congratulate Stephanie Hightower of the Columbus Urban League. Hightower, the first female president and CEO of Columbus Urban League, is a tireless advocate for social justice and racial equity. Under her leadership, the League touches nearly 40,000 people a year with economic mobility initiatives, and it transformed an abandoned building into an economic hub in the King Lincoln District. During the pandemic, Hightower, who is a world-class athlete and former Columbus School Board member, has connected with 4,000 jeopardized Black businesses and 9,000 families fighting homelessness. She's also advocated for reforms in policing, eviction policy, and benefits for those financially damaged by COVID-19. Congratulations, Stephanie. JOANNA Pinkerton, Central Ohio Transit Authority. JOANNA Pinkerton is the president and CEO of Central Ohio Transit Authority, the regional mobility organization that covers over 560 miles across 5 counties and serves 1.4 million residents. Since joining COTA in 2018, Pinkerton has focused on providing innovative mobility solutions. She spearheaded the organization's first strategic planning process, a new customer experience center, and recruitment of the organization's first chief innovative officer, Chief People Officer, and Chief Equity Officer. She also helped launch COTA Plus, Mainstream On Demand, and Bus On Demand, the first on-demand public microtransit in Ohio. Pinkerton holds a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering. Congratulations, JOANNA. Our next finalist in the large nonprofit category is Robert Chilton, Impact Community Action. Robert Bo Chilton is the CEO of Impact Community Action. With an annual operating budget of $24 million and a staff of 150 employees, Impact has served as a leading organization providing rent, mortgage, and utility assistance to over 25,000 households during the pandemic. The organization also won the Columbus Foundation Award in 2021. Chilton's passion for building community is reflected in his service on the Workforce Development Board of Central Ohio, the Ohio Community Development Corporation, Homeport, and the African American Leadership Academy. Chilton is a veteran of the Army Reserves. Congratulations, Bo. The last finalist for CEO of the Year with a large nonprofit is Dr. Stephen Markovich, OHIOHEALTH. Dr. Markovich is a healthcare executive, physician, and military leader. He has practiced as a family medicine and emergency room physician and was president of OHIOHEALTH Riverside Methodist Hospital before becoming OHIOHEALTH CEO in 2019. Markovich retired as a major general after 38 years of military service, most recently serving as the commander of the Ohio Air National Guard. He is a member of the boards of the National Veterans Memorial and Museum and the Columbus Symphony, and has been active in the past with Jobs Ohio, the United Way of Central Ohio, and the Simon Kenton Council of the Boy Scouts of America. Congratulations to all of the finalists. And now, the 2020 CEO of the Year winner in the large nonprofit category, which is for organizations with at least $4 million in annual revenue, is Tim Robinson, Nationwide Children's Hospital. Tim Robinson is the CEO of Nationwide Children's Hospital and has served the organization for nearly 3 decades, starting in 1995 as assistant treasurer and then quickly moving through the ranks. In 1997, he was promoted to senior vice president and chief executive officer and went on to become the Executive Vice President and Chief Financial and Administrative Officer for 14 years before being named CEO in 2019. Over his time at Nationwide Children's, Robinson has led groundbreaking efforts in population health, including his work with Partners for Kids, which grew from serving 13,000 children to over 300,000 children under his leadership. His work with Healthy Neighborhoods, Healthy Families also contributed to its status as a national model for other health systems to improve opportunities for youth. Most recently, Robinson has announced a new $3.3 billion strategic plan this summer that will focus on hospital and program expansion, particularly in the behavioral health sector. Robinson earned his Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and Business Administration from Indiana University Bloomington and is a certified cash manager. He and his wife Jane live in Grandview Heights and have 3 adult children, Lauren, Andrea, and Jordan, and 1 grandchild with a second on the way. Congratulations, Tim.
Well, I'm thrilled and honored by this award. I accept it on behalf of the 13,000 people at Nationwide Children's Hospital who work every day to make care and the lives of children better. I'm so appreciative of the incredible support that we get from our board and from this community, and just really thrilled by this opportunity. So thank you.
Congratulations, Tim, and thank you, Arthur. I'm happy to announce the awards recognizing the finalists and winners of CEO of the Year in the category of Small For-Profit Central Ohio Business. The finalists are Brent Crawford, Crawford Hoying. Brent Crawford, founder and principal of Crawford Hoying, created his real estate firm in 1994 with a single investment property, and it has grown to one of the largest real estate firms in Columbus. With his firm's Bridge Park development, Crawford transformed Dublin and brought the energy of the city to the suburbs. He's also president of the Center for Real Estate at OSU and a member of the Columbus Partnership. Crawford serves on the boards of Sophisticated Systems, Ohio State Sports Medicine Center, and the Children's Hospital Foundation. Congratulations, Brett. Dee Haslam, Columbus Crew SC. Dee Haslam is the CEO of Haslam Sports Group and the owner-operator of Columbus Crew SC. Most recently, Haslam championed the creation of Lower.com Field. She and her husband, Jimmy, have donated $1.5 million to COVID-19 relief efforts throughout the state of Ohio. An advocate for education, Haslam also led the Stay in the Game initiative meant to encourage higher school attendance rates for children. The Haslams launched a Diversity and Opportunity Fellowship designed to improve the pipeline of diverse future sports industry leaders. Dee currently sits on the MLS Board of Governors and the Columbus Partnership Board. Congratulations, Dee. And our last finalist, Mark Daniels, M&A Architects. The president of M&A Architects has worked with the firm for more than 33 years and has served as president for the past 20. Daniels leads the company's mission to design for the future, and his specialties include mixed-use and multi-use projects, multifamily housing, urban infill, and downtown development, walkable neighborhoods, and responsible planning. And now the winner for CEO of the Year in the small business category, which is for companies with 500 or fewer employees. Jonathan Moody, Moody Nolan. Jonathan Moody is the CEO of Moody Nolan, the largest black-owned architecture firm in the country, founded by his father, Kurt, in 1982. Jonathan took over as CEO in 2020 and was a finalist for Columbus CEO's CEO of the Year award the same year. In 2021, Moody received the Young Architect Award from the American Institute of Architects. The architecture firm was also named 2021 Firm of the Year by AIA, a national honor offered to just one firm each year and the most prestigious title given by the organization. Moody Nolan, which has over 270 employees in 12 locations nationwide, is the first firm based in Ohio to win the award. Before working at Moody Nolan, which he joined about a decade ago, he lived and worked in Los Angeles. He earned a Bachelor of Architecture from Cornell University and a Master's in Architecture from UCLA. He credits his wife, Mantra, as the backbone to his success. Congratulations, Jonathan.
Oh, wow. I thank God every day for continuing to surprise me beyond what I thought was even possible. I'm so thankful to be named CEO of the Year for small business in my second year as CEO, but it is not about me. I'm so thankful for my wife and family for putting up with me and being able to endure me and in light of all that I have to deal with. My father and mother and family, our whole executive team, this is a them, our partners and principals, this is a them award. Our whole staff, I'm so honored to be able to represent them and all the great work that they do. This is an us and an our and a we award, and I'm also so thankful for the clients that we serve, that basically the work that our staff does on behalf of them was worthy to be named as CEO of the Year. I'm so thankful for that.
I'm pleased to announce this evening's final awards recognizing CEO of the Year in the large business category. The finalists for this award are Dr. Bill WULF, Central Ohio Primary Care Physicians. Dr. WULF has been the Chief Executive Officer of Central Ohio Primary Care since 2013. A steadfast advocate for independent primary care physicians, he was a leader among the founding physicians that helped establish COPC in 1996. During the pandemic, COPC implemented telehealth across 70 practices and 350 physicians in less than 1 week. That model continues today. Congratulations, Dr. WULF. CORRINE Berger, JPMORGAN Chase. CORRINE Berger is a managing director at JPMorgan Chase and serves as the chief control manager responsible for overseeing operational risk for the firm. In addition to that role, Berger also serves as the Columbus Strategic Hub location leader and represents the 18,000 employees in Central Ohio. For the past 15 years, Berger has held senior roles in the consumer business, including controller of JPMorgan Chase's retail division for 9 years. She's currently a member of the Columbus 2020 Board of Directors and serves on the Columbus State Community College Board of Trustees. Berger lives in Dublin with her husband and 4 children. Congratulations, CORRINE. And the winner of the CEO of the Year award in the large business category, which is for companies with 500 or more employees, is Michael Kaufman, Cardinal Health. Michael Kaufman is Chief Executive Officer of Cardinal Health, a global healthcare company based in Dublin with 50,000 employees. The Fortune 25 supplier serves nearly 90% of U.S. hospitals. Kaufman has held a range of executive leadership positions with Cardinal across operations, sourcing, sales, and finance over 30 years. He's a passionate advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Kaufman has also played an integral role in the region's economic development through his participation in the Columbus Partnership. Please join me in congratulating Michael Kaufman.
Leadership matters all the time, but especially in changing and uncertain times. As the COVID-19 pandemic has continued across our community, within our workplaces, and in each of our lives, it feels like this past year has been full of constant change. And this is when leadership matters most. In my more than 30 years at Cardinal Health, I've found that when things are uncertain, the most critical and helpful steps I can take are to communicate often, be consistent and transparent, shine a light on the path forward, and instill hope. Great leaders are willing to be vulnerable, authentic, and demonstrate a willingness to be uncomfortable. It may require speaking up and asking the tough questions, or addressing unpopular beliefs or points of view. Or it might even mean that you tackle the hard-to-solve subjects or have the guts to take a step, or maybe many steps, that haven't been taken before. You must foster a culture where people can bring 100% of themselves to work, allowing them the space and environment to rise to their full potential, no matter their race, gender, orientation, or background. Listen, learn, and act as both an ally and an advocate. It's absolutely critical. When our culture thrives, our employees thrive. When our employees thrive, our neighborhoods thrive. And when our neighborhoods thrive, our communities and regions thrive. I'm honored by this recognition, and I'm pleased to accept it on behalf of our entire Cardinal Health team. I am grateful for and regularly blown away by their dedication, care, and commitment. To my fellow Columbus area business leaders, thank you for your nominations and confidence in me as CEO of the Year. It means a great deal to me, especially as we work together on the many initiatives we champion across the city. I see so much passion from my peers in these efforts and our collective, meaningful care and admiration for the region and its communities. To Columbus CEO Magazine, thank you for both this acknowledgement and the important work that you do in covering our business community so well. And last, but certainly not least, to my wife, Linda. You make everything I do possible. Thank you for your love, commitment to our family, active involvement in our community, and unwavering encouragement of learning and growth. As we close out 2021 and look ahead to 2022, take care, happy holidays, and happy new year. Be well, everybody.
Congratulations once again to all of this year's CEO of the Year finalists and winners. A final thank you to our sponsors, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Mills James and Regionomics for their support. And now we'll hear from our 2021 CEO of the Year winners on what they've learned during this year and their hopes for 2022. Thank you.
The last 18 months have been challenging for everyone, and in particular, healthcare workers.
My greatest challenge this past year was that we were navigating through great loss and uncertainty, not only on a personal level, but professionally as well.
My greatest challenge this last year was really just dealing with balance, and balance in all shapes and forms.
Finding balance between work and family, it's really harder and harder to find balance because even honestly, when I'm home, it's really hard not to think about these things.
But in July and August, all of a sudden, we started to see a lot of respiratory illness, RSV and the like. And then at the same time, because of the variant, we saw children really seeing an uptake in their COVID infection.
There was no blueprint to how to pave the work forward, navigating through this pandemic. And so for our organization, we really had to innovate quickly.
People are so stressed and so not over dealing with the trauma that we've all endured over the last several months.
But I'll have to tell you, over the last 20 months with COVID, its impacts on the supply chain, being a global company, the decisions we're making on running our business, constantly thinking about the safety of our employees, it's really harder and harder to find balance.
So really challenging times for children and for all of us at Nationwide Children, especially our frontline staff.
We had to, center in our core around service and wanting to make sure that we were showing up for families and showing up for our community in ways that they needed us during this time.
But now is also the time that's more important than ever to be pushing to do things better than we ever have.
And obviously COVID's kind of been a challenge in general when it comes to taking care of customers. So I really want us to be able over the next year to really take our game to another level on delivering on our commitments to our customers.
Our team has been working incredibly hard and dealing with these many challenges.
And we continue to stay anchored to that commitment that we have to the community, but certainly has been challenging.
It's always been the people which has kept me here. I really like the people and I really like our mission. When you're involved in healthcare at the level we are, what we do matters.
But what's brought me the most joy and hope is just the incredible resilience and commitment of our staff, our physicians, our nursing staff, and everyone at Nationwide Children's really stepping up to meet the needs of our patients and our families and making sure they were getting the access to care that they needed.
Relationships are the connections. On a personal level, I'm so grateful for my own personal network of family and friends who have showed up for me during this time in a very significant way.
Seeing young people who I had no idea were watching me reach out and explain how inspired and encouraged they were by just seeing me visible, seeing me public, seeing me out there, and seeing all the things that we're doing. It was kind of an affirmation that people do notice when the things that we're doing and how we approach things.
And knowing that every day when you come to work that you're making a difference in people's lives, that's, I think, probably the thing that inspires me the most.
On a personal level, my family and friends and the way that they showed up in support to me and my journey, And most importantly, as an organization, we were really able to tap into our network of relationships to help us navigate during this time.
I'm inspired by, first of all, our mission, our 129-year mission of providing the best care anywhere in the world. But all you have to do is walk down our halls and see the children and their families and what their challenges are. And it's very easy to get excited and come in.
We needed to rebuild. We needed to find a way to move forward. And that is just such a personally powerful metaphor for what I do, for the people we serve, but also just broader, that we can build a better future.